Hey everybody, this is Sean V. Bradley, the founder of Automotive Internet Sales and CEO of Dealer Synergy, and I'm super excited because this is a brand new year. It's 2013, and I'm about to unveil the Dealership of the Month. And to help me do that, I want to introduce you to the man behind the Dealership of the Month. His name is Rene. Rene, say hello to everybody and just tell them about yourself.
Hi, yes, this is Rene Issip. I'm the dealer owner at Rene Issip Toyota of Louisville. We are a Toyota store in Dallas, Texas. A big volume store in North Dallas.
Okay, so you're the actual dealer?
Yes, I am the dealer and operator at Rene Issip's Toyota of Louisville.
I love it. Okay, now the purpose, this is a little bit different. This is a first. You're about to make history here, Rene, because normally on automotive internet sales, we talk about digital marketing, we talk about sales, we talk about the internet, we talk about BDC. But you know what doesn't get talked about a lot in our industry is the IT, the technology, the infrastructure. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, I want to get your opinion in a second, but in my opinion, none of that other stuff is at all possible if you don't have computers, if you don't have technology. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree with you. My biggest challenge, the owner, and I have two stores. We have a Honda store in Houston, Texas, so you're talking 250 miles apart. And the biggest challenge I have is to be able to run efficiently. Let's not have our computers down. Let's not have our internet down. You know, we have to be on 110% of the time, and also having our DMS communicate with each other from 250 miles apart.
Okay, so if I'm understanding you correctly, it's making sure that you guys are structurally sound, you're constantly operationally sound, your computers are up, and then on top of that, you have to bridge, you said, the communication between Dallas and Houston. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now tell me what your paradigm was like. What was it like before we unveil your how you're doing and why you're doing so successful? Tell me the almost the nightmare of an IT hell that you were in before, as far as the structure. If I remember correctly, you had 3 different networks at one point. Was that correct?
Yes. Now, John, we were a typical car dealership where we had a family member or we had somebody within the store that was very computer literate helping manage our IT. And, you know, that really got a little cumbersome. So I was worried about legal stuff. You know, were we using licensed products, you know, versus just, you know, downloading or making a copy of some software. You know, I worry as a dealer, I worry about these things because I don't want to be, you know, penalized or have to pay any fees to, you know, Microsoft or whomever it may be. You know, those were one of my challenges. The other challenge was to make sure that my guys were working 110% of the time. No excuses of a DMS going down, internet going down, problems with, you know, our software. We use Reynolds, you know, problem with our DMS, which is Reynolds. We wanted to make sure we didn't have any, you know, issues with them and listen to them, and they give us an excuse where we just accept it, you know. So I looked and really looked for months, and finally traveled to Maryland and met with Helion Technology. And they finally gave me the kind of support that I was really needing to make sure that efficiently my 2 stores ran at 110%. My sales, my associates, our business office, everything was working 100% of the time. We have a bad weather in Texas, a crazy storm comes by, our still continues to run. We don't go down for any reason. And you know, by having the right people supporting you, you know, I found out that, man, life is good. Made it easy.
Well, Rene, that's absolutely awesome. I just put on the screen Helion, and I was really blown away when I found out about them. And again, actually, we have Scott. Scott, are you there?
I am.
Okay, can you tell everybody who you are and what your role is with Helion?
Sure. My name is Scott McConnor, and I am the Vice President in charge of Sales and Marketing for Helion.
Okay, and can you help kind of bridge the gap? You know what I mean? Because remember, I've been doing automotive internet sales for 14 straight years. NADA convention speaker. I even have my own internet sales 20 group, as you know. And I got to tell you, this is not on enough dealerships' radar. They'll drop $20, $30, $40,000 on a radio ad, on a TV ad, internet advertisement, but their whole structure is in shambles. Can you tell me from a different perspective? Let's just use the Rene's dealership, his or dealer group, I should say, as a starting point for the conversation. When you guys first were introduced to their situation, can you tell me from your standpoint, what state was his organization in?
Well, they had a lot going on.
Technology-wise.
Yeah, from a technology standpoint, they had multiple networks. They were set up in such a way that trying to be designed to not have issues, to have speed issues and not go down. But what they actually had was a lot of wasted money and systems that were antiquated. So they were trying to get things done and kind of be on the cutting edge, but it wasn't getting properly implemented. So when we come in and we take a look at a dealership or a dealership group, we're looking at several things, resilience, stability, backups, uptime. How's the dealership set up for that? How are they dealing with the regulatory compliance that is becoming more prevalent in dealerships today with the FTC and the safeguards rules? And then we always look at cost. How are things being done? Is there a better way to do it? Can you get more for less and have resilient and redundant systems in place?
Wait a minute, Scott. Let me just stop right here, because Rene brought up something, and I'm going to talk about the profitability, making money, and saving costs in a second. But I'm going to switch to the email that you sent me just a couple hours ago. Can you go through this, because this blew me away? I mean, can you read my screen?
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, please go through this. Explain this to me, because this is crazy.
Sure. In this past year, there's been several things that have come down for dealerships. There was a dealer in Kansas that had some money stolen from their bank account. One of their employees got a spam email.
Not just some. You say the number out loud. $63,000.
$63,000. Yep. One of their accounting employees got a spam email that looked like a bank email. They clicked on the link and were tricked into putting in the account information, and then that money was stolen.
Wow.
Another area where we're finding and seeing some serious money being spent and fines is with the Business Software Alliance, which is made up of companies like Microsoft and others, that they go out and basically they want to see proof that you own every copy of licensing, whether it be Microsoft Office or Microsoft Exchange email system, or even the operating system.
Wait a minute, Rene, while you're there, Rene, this is going to be an interactive conversation here. So, Rene, this is what you were talking about before, is that, before you engaged with Helion, you didn't have a complete comfort level that all your software was compliant and up to date and licensed. Is that correct?
Absolutely correct. And I was going to mention to you, Sean, was the fact that we had Helion saved us hundreds of thousands of dollars, because we could have been fined, because I had several. We were using not software, and that was really what I always worried about was my associates were loading software into the computer that was not licensed, and that we as the dealer are the ones that are responsible for things.
Well, Scott, let me jump back to you. Let's talk about that for a second, because I don't want people watching this or reading this and get all scared, but they should be, because a lot of dealers are really kind of naive at the reality. You have a number here, $750,000. So just to be crystal clear, Microsoft and other software companies have and can sanction you or fine you if you have pirated software or non-compliant or non-licensed software. Can you elaborate on that just for a couple of minutes?
Certainly. It's even much bigger than that. They can come in and shut you down. They can shut your business down.
What?
Yep, absolutely. They can come down and say, you're out of business until we can get this, figured out, depending on what level of software pirate you are. So there's been instances where, basically they send a letter to the dealership and they say, we believe you're a software pirate. You need to prove that you're not, and the fines are up to $33,000 per copy of unlicensed software. And the key to that is that when you buy, let's say you buy Microsoft Office as a suite of products.
Right.
Well, that's not just one piece of software. That's Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, everything that comes with that package is considered a piece of software. And you need to be able to show an invoice, not just, here's a license key that we have for this thing. They have to be able to actually show an invoice.
Oh, wow. Okay,
so
that's a big thing. That's a big tip right there. Not only do you need to have the license key, you need to have an invoice to prove that you actually paid for it.
Exactly.
Wow, okay.
So, and there's been fines. They're targeting car dealerships. We found because it's low-hanging fruit in the car dealership world. How you get these problems is most dealerships have what we call standalone PCs, where everybody kind of has their own PC. All their files live on their PC. It's not tied to a Microsoft Windows domain via server, and every employee has what's called administrative rights, where they can add and remove programs. So, and people are very confused about how licensing works. So if I buy a copy of Microsoft Office Home Edition for my PC at home, people think, well, I own that copy. I can go and install it wherever I want, and they'll come in and they'll try and put it on their PC at work. Well, the dealership's ultimately responsible for that because they don't have the systems in place to be able to control it.
Now, Rene, that's what you're saying. So basically, this is not like a hypothetical. You were in that situation. You had compromised situation before Helion came in and rectified that. Is that correct?
Well, yes, but I did not know I was in that compromised position because I did not know that we had several that had unlicensed software in them. So that is the other thing that's one of the big things that I was getting out of a professional rather than using somebody within the store that we feel that knows, IT and so on. And that's what Helion, another part, and maybe the biggest part that Helion brings to the table.
Okay, Scott, can you go through the other couple bullet points from C, D, E, and F really quick?
Sure. Last year, the FTC, which I'm surprised it took this long, but they finally made a ruling against a dealership for not protecting customer data. And again, it goes back to employees having the ability to modify their system. So they had what was called peer-to-peer file sharing software loaded on a PC, and that's, such as LimeWire, Napster, stuff like that, where you can share, files and audio and stuff like that. Someone had installed that on their PC, and what it was doing was it was going in and grabbing customer data. So when you go to a website and, there's a game or, you says click here to, accept your $10 gift card to Applebee's or whatever it may be, you do that, and then that's actually loading a software onto your PC.
Right.
And some of them are keyloggers, where it'll go and actually track everything that's being typed in, so very sensitive customer data, social security numbers, stuff like that. It's a huge, huge, huge risk for dealerships.
Right.
And then, kind of moving forward are some stats about percentages of malicious websites are hosted on compromised servers, 82%. 55% of data stealing malware comes from websites like I just described, people clicking on links. And 92% of spam email contains a web link, which is how that dealer in Kansas was fooled into putting in their information about the bank. It looked like it came from their bank. Click here, put in your information, and then the money was gone.
So can you give me your opinion, just from a senior executive standpoint, what percentage do you believe, there's approximately 17,500 franchise dealerships. Let's put to the side for just a second the other 30 or 40,000 independent dealerships. Let's just talk about the 17,500 franchise dealerships. What percentage of those do you think are sleeping at the wheel or not compliant or susceptible to this stuff? Because I think it's got to be a huge percentage from my experience of dealers that are not dialed in with their technology. What percentage would you think it is as an industry expert?
Honestly, from one standpoint or another, what kind of risk do they have? They all have some risk. I'd say, let's be fair and just call it 99%. We haven't run into any yet that we've seen. And we're working with about 500 dealerships right now. So
okay,
it's just there's some sort of risk factor that they could be doing better with.
Okay. Now, Rene, as a dealer, so let me just play this back. For a while you were doing it internally like most dealerships. Sometimes you have the parts guy or the fixed ops manager does the IT, or you've got somebody that's a nerd or a geek that's great with computers, so they put it together. Now, the transformation from just do-it-yourself MacGyver IT to where you're at now, can you tell us the difference? What has that been like today, present day, for your company or your group?
Well, originally I was a little concerned because the transition takes 6 months or so to really get the habit. In this case, Helion they really did a great job with our associates, and we were able to get really acclimated to the process. I'd say 45 days. The transition from 4 or 5 years ago to where we are now, it's night and day. We are all compliant, stay compliant. My guys download anything from the internet unless we have a permission from Helion, so they help monitor those things for us. All our emails are protected; they're not getting any viruses of any kind. But the two biggest thing, again, I keep on going back to is I can sleep at night because I feel comfortable that nothing is going within our MS or within our internet that is legal, and we're doing everything the right way. The other thing is I could be on a Saturday at 7 p.m. and my system goes down. In 10 minutes, it's back up because it's on the ball to help us to get everything going again. And there's twofold. You do it by phone to their headquarters in Maryland, or they've got a technician that's locally, and he's within 20. And Dallas, being a busy hub, is within 20 minutes away to getting to our store if we needed a technician in-house to work on our whatever issue. Again, for me as a dealer, it's just a nice way to forget about this piece of the puzzle, and I can worry about selling cars and servicing cars and taking care of our customers.
Well, I think that's awesome. Here's the reason why I kind of picked this subject, and Renee's in particular, you and your organization, for the dealership of the month, because it's not just about how many units that you put on the board. It's also about growing and protecting your business. I mean, what does it matter if you sold 400 cars, but you're going to get shut down by the FTC or from Microsoft in the next couple months, or be susceptible to a fine of $750,000 or whatever it might be. So here's what I love about this, if I'm understanding you correctly. You have, obviously with the help of Helion, but what you've accomplished is you have complete authentication for your software. You own the licenses, so you're not worried about any type of fines or any type of, ramifications because you're completely compliant on all your software. One. Two, you have a strong backbone for, I guess, a firewall and security, so you're not going to have to worry about your company being brought down by, viruses and malwares and all that other stuff because of the security that you have in place. On top of that, you mentioned that your emails are protected as well. On top of that, your salespeople, because they're just normal people, they are restricted from having certain access to doing certain things like unintentionally downloading, a virus or malware or Trojan or whatever it might be. Is that all correct?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, and the other thing that I also do now is also focus on what latest technologies are out there that Helion brings to the table to us. For example, CRM. There's so many CRM companies out there, and we work with Helion to find out what's the best one that works with our system. We have a CRM that we're working with Helion on that'll work for just our service drive, our service advisors, and the service manager and service department. We work with them on that. We also work with Helion on for our sales associates on the bearer side, on the sales side, carrying iPads. To be able to answer customers' questions about the product that they're demonstrating out on the lot. So we're working hand in hand with them on that. That's something more that my general manager or my sales managers, our service managers, they don't see that. But that's something that we work closely with them hand in hand and to develop what's the best strategy for us to move into the, to 5 years from now, to 10 years from now. We're always try to stay ahead of the game. That's what we're getting from Helion. And as you well know, Sean, Internet is, that's it. That's the way we are moving. That's where we are now, and that's going to be even bigger in the future. Advertising, for example, we have 2 big stores. We do over 3,500 units annually per store. So that's 7,000 units, and we spend advertising on a monthly basis for both stores. Probably about 200,000 is hitting it high. That's for advertising in parts and service and in sales. And we're able to do that because we focus so much on Internet. And again, that's another part that we work closely with Helion on is how do we get better, to stay ahead of the game, within at least 2 to 3. We like to look 2 to 3 years ahead.
Well, listen, I am beyond impressed with what I'm hearing. Scott, can you come in and tighten up a little bit or paint a little vivid more picture? I love that because I wasn't aware of that until just Rene shared that Helion has helped advise with technologies that work with the infrastructure like CRMs, websites. How important is that? Because I'll tell you right now, I see freaking poor dealerships out there, the dealer principals and GMs, they just want to sell cars, and then they have all these ninja vendors that are coming at them saying, oh, how about this tool? How about that widget? How about this new shiny object? And they just want to sell some cars. So they buy this CRM, they buy that, tablet device, they buy this, problem solver, but it doesn't sink in hand in glove with their backbone of their infrastructure of their technology. So on a technical question, how important is it for a dealership to not only have an IT strategy, but have the IT strategy in sync with the other devices such as a CRM, a DMS, a website, etc.?
Sure. One of the things we always look at when we're evaluating a dealership is plug-and-play scalability. We need to set the network up in such a way that if the dealership decides that they're going to switch from one CRM to another or make a DMS change or they want to add a new tool, tablets, secure wireless, whatever it may be, that it's an easy transition. And part of the reason why we've been so successful is that all of our clients are car dealers. So we see every product that's out there. We know what's good about them. We know where some of them struggle. What the real story is. So when we have a client that asks us, hey, what do you know about this CRM? What do you know about this? What do you know about that? We can go in and give them, the real story on, hey, we've worked with these guys. They're great. you know, whatever the case may be. So one of the things Rene mentioned was the iPads. And that's another area where dealerships have a big risk is in their wireless infrastructure. So what we find in a lot of stores is you'll have, you know, like a Linksys wireless access point that someone went down to the Best Buy and bought for $50 that's designed for the home. And they'll plug that in, and boom, they've got wireless and customer wireless and whatever else they want to put on it. But that wireless is touching their main network, where all their customer data is and everything else, and it's just not secure. So these are the things we look at, putting in the right systems so that the dealership can make the decisions that will help make them more profitable. You know, all these different products that are out there, none of it means anything if it doesn't work.
Here, let me jump in, and this question is for either Rene or Scott. Here's the question: as an advanced internet and BDC and digital marketing, expert myself, I have to say that I believe that the dealership's assets, such as pictures, video, articles, blog posts, basically SEO sticky content, it is so important. Most dealerships that I find before they come onto Dealer Synergy, they're all over the place. Like you said, they're on a laptop, they're on an iPad, they're on a PC, they're on a Mac, and they're all over the place. First question, it's a two-part question. How important is organizing all of your content assets, pictures, videos, social media, articles, blog posts, etc.? Who wants to answer that question? How important is that? And then the second question is, well, how do you do it? And or Rene, how did you guys do it?
Well, let me answer that first, Scott. And Sean, what really happens at my start of the process is we get so many vendors on a daily basis. My general manager gets so many new ideas from CRM solutions and whatnot. But what we always say is the rule is, why don't we give Helion a call? Let's check with Helion to see how does this work. How's this going to be our future? Are we going to be able to use it for 3 to 5 years, or is this going to be something we're going to use for 6 months and then away, and we just lose we'll lose installation or whatever on a monthly basis? That's kind of the process we start out with. Also, try to limit our new products that are out there that we're bringing in by our advice from Helion. Like I said, every day, John, you know this, and Scott can attest to this. Every day we have, I don't know how many vendors coming in with a new great invention that's changing the internet world, and we just have to filter what's really good and what's not.
Totally understand. So in your dealership, what is your strategy for all the videos that you create, like video testimonials, video walkarounds, just whatever video assets you have in your dealership, or articles or blog posts? Do you guys sort them, organize them, store them somehow?
Yes, I have obviously at the stores we have a social media manager, and that's her responsibilities to create the blogs, create the Facebook contests on a weekly basis, and the videos. And videos is a big deal for us. We try to do videos on even just a delivery to a customer that's buying just bought a new car, and to as far as videos on the new products that are coming out, or even a service deal. And we have an in-house social media person that manages these things. But also, if she runs into an issue with our technology or with our system, Helion's right there to help us work on things or categorize things and help us move on. Again, we do not. Time is very important in our business. That's the way I look at it. Can't wait till tomorrow. Got to get everything fixed and got to get everything done, 10 minutes ago. And that's kind of the way we look at things. That's our philosophy.
Well, I love it. Now, on a technology standpoint, Scott, can you share any of your strategies that you've put in place for Rene's dealerships, and that maybe you recommend for dealerships across the country that are watching, listening to this? Like I mentioned to you, I think that social media assets, video assets, reputation assets, whether they're articles, I mean, their testimonials, their videos. I mean, all this stuff is important. What do you recommend that a dealership, like, Rene, as successful as they are with IT, how should they store it, secure it, and, save it?
Well, that's a good question, Sean. One of the things that dealers should be looking at is how is their data saved and backed up? Where is it stored? Is it stored on somebody's local PC that when that PC blows up, everything they've been working on for months and years is destroyed and gone? Or is that data stored on a server that then is backed up nightly? And one of the challenges that, dealers face is when they're taking advice from the in-house IT person, which is usually, the parts manager or the person that could get the wireless going for the dealer's house, becomes the IT director. They'll have a external hard drive plugged into a PC or something like that in the server room, where the challenge with that is that if the dealership gets hit by lightning and it blows out the server or the PC, it's going to blow out that hard drive as well, and they really don't have a backup. So we recommend that they do the backups off-site via the internet. So what we do is we have software that lives on all the servers, everything's stored on servers, and that data gets packaged up and offloaded to a data center in Maryland where we have racks and servers hosted there, and then that is also replicated to another data center in another city, so that if the end of the world happened to come for Maryland, Rene would still have his data.
Well, I think that's phenomenal. Listen, gentlemen, thank you both so much. And Rene, kudos to you. 583 units a month between both your stores, less than $400 a car, cost per sale and advertisement, huge internet infrastructure, advanced technology, iPads, you are the epitome of the current and future state of automotive dealerships. So I congratulate you, and thank you so much for your time, sharing your success with automotive internet sales and the rest of the automotive community. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.